What's going on, Philly sports fans? It's your boy, SalG. That's right, we're here on another edition of the Wraparound on It's a Wrap Network. Please make sure you give us a like, share, and subscribe. Got that banner going across the screen there. You can find us on all your favorite social media sites. Check us out. We got tons of content. And also, you got your boy Sal G coming to you live every Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Good to be talking to you guys tonight. Well, what can we say? The Eagles have advanced to the divisional playoff series next week against, well, we're going to see who it's going to be against tonight. It's going to be either Minnesota or the Rams, the LA Rams. Who would you rather face? I think I'd rather face the Minnesota Vikings, to be honest with you, because I think they're somewhat fraudulent and a lot more beatable than the Rams. Stafford, McVay, those guys make me a little nervous. But man, let's talk about this Eagles game here, guys. Eagles win 22-10. 12-point margin of victory. Now, it could have been a lot more. Saquon Barkley did break off a 60-yard run that he ended up sliding right at the end of the game there. I mean, he could have broke that off for a 60-yard touchdown is what I'm saying. Instead, he just ran like 10 yards and just fell to the ground, gave himself up. But the score easily could have been 29-10 here, and we'd be talking about a total blowout of the Packers. So 22-10, you look at it and you go, well, it's not a convincing win. When they won by 12 points and they held Green Bay to 10 points, the Eagles defense stood strong, played their butts off, looked really, really good. Say what you will about Jalen Hurts' play. Remember, he pretty much missed 3 weeks of action due to that concussion. So he just came back. Maybe he was a little rusty. Because the stat lines for the receivers don't look too great. I mean, AJ Brown only had one catch for 10 yards. He had so much free time that you saw he was reading a motivational book on the sidelines there. So AJ Brown, one catch. Devontae Smith, 4 catches for 55 yards. That was your leading receiver on the Eagles yesterday. Dallas Goedert, big game by him, man. 4 catches, 47 yards, and a touchdown. How about that touchdown for Dallas Goedert? I mean, that's one of the best. It's got to be the best touchdown of his career. Not only did he do one stiff arm, not only did he do two stiff arms, he did three stiff arms on his way to the end zone for a touchdown. My man looked super strong there, looked awesome. The guy on him, Valentine, didn't know what to do. I mean, Goddard didn't even need to give him that third stiff arm. He just wanted to lay the smackdown on this dude and just say, "Hey, man, I'm going in the end zone. Come with me if you want, but you're taking this as a going away present." Bang! Right in the jaw. Jahan Dotson started off the scoring for the Eagles. One catch, 11 yards, but it was a big, big catch. It was the touchdown that ended up putting the Eagles up 7-0 in the first quarter. It was a big touchdown. This game was pretty close the majority of the day. It really was. It wasn't until the fourth quarter what the Eagles were able to break it open. And we'll get into some stuff here in a sec. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk some more about this matchup here, coming into the matchup. So we knew Jalen Hurts is coming off of the concussion. We know Devontae Smith had a back injury. He was able to come back and play. AJ Brown has a knee injury. Now, he only had one catch for 11 yards. I wonder, is this knee really a problem? If it is, it's going to be tough, marching through the playoffs here without your best playmaker not being 100% healthy. That could be an issue for the Eagles. So we'll have to monitor that. But A.J. Brown did play. Devontae Smith played. Jalen Hurts played. I was a little nervous coming to this game with the Packers. Why, you say? Because they're the number 7 seed. And last year, they were also the number 7 seed. But they ended up going to Dallas, beating Dallas, and they were an underdog. They beat Dallas as the 7 seed last year. So I was a little worried that something like that could have happened. Anything can happen in football. Any given Sunday, any team can rise to the occasion and win, right? That's what I was kind of worried about. Luckily, that's all squashed with the win. Uh, th- Not only did we have some injuries going into the game, but the Packers were out with we're dealing with an injury for Christian Watson. He was out. He's now out the rest of the season. He didn't play on Saturday. Their best deep threat wasn't available. And he's not their best receiver. That would be Jaden Reed, because Jaden Reed's so dynamic with the football. Whether he does a jet sweep or you give him a 10-yard quick hitch and he just takes it to the house. Those are things you can do with Jaden Reed. He's a dynamic football player. And you had the number one defense in the Eagles versus the number five offense in Green Bay. How would that match up fair? We saw the defense came through. Defense wins championships. The Eagles have the best defense in football. If they're going to win a Super Bowl this year, it's not going to be all carried on the arm of Jalen Hurts. It's going to be with that defense and with awesome running by Saquon Barkley. And you had another nice game by Barkley today, Saturday. I keep saying today. Sunday. Oh my God. Barkley carried the ball 25 times for 119 yards. Now, he could have tacked on another 60, like I said, before he gave himself up. I mean, because he was just running the clock out at that point. He didn't have to score that touchdown. Teammates were giving him some hell for it. Awesome moment. I love Saquon Barkley, man. A selfless player, team first guy. He's the man. He had 2 catches in the game as well, only for 4 yards, but big help, big reason why they won. They were able to control the clock. They held the clock for this game. Well, not that much. It's funny. The clock time was 30 minutes and 33 seconds for the Eagles and 29 minutes and 27 seconds for Green Bay. So back and forth with the clock, but we were able to stop, us doing what we did with Saquon Barkley. We're able to keep the ball out of Green Bay's hands and for them to cause any crazy damage. I mean, Green Bay pretty much shot themselves in the foot. Now, they had a bunch of injuries in this game. It's a shame that happened. I don't wish injury on anyone, but they were losing players left and right. Jaden Reed got knocked out of the game. Romeo Dobbs looked like he had a concussion. He was knocked out of the game. They lost 2 offensive linemen, one being their center. So that was a huge blow to the Packers. And yes, another reason why they lost the game. Unfortunately, in football, you cannot predict injuries or turnovers. And the Packers had that much in this game. They have tons of injuries, and they had 4 turnovers in this game. Green Bay was also missing their star cornerback, of course, Jair Alexander. He didn't play, but Green Bay still has a very potent defense. And you look at the Packers, I know I said I was a little worried about them coming into the game because of what happened, how they beat Dallas last year. But you look at the Packers, and some people say, Jordan Love or the Packers are fraudulent because who have they beat this year? Look at their schedule up and down. They're 2-5 this year against playoff teams. Against the Texans, they beat the Texans, they beat the Rams. The Texans, that they won the game 24-22. Not exactly a blowout there, right? They beat the Rams 24-19. Again, not a blowout. Not a blowout at all. So, some people were saying this might be the most difficult matchup of the postseason for the Eagles. And if it is, I mean, the road to the Super Bowl looks pretty darn good. I'd say that much. Let's break down this game a little bit here. All right, in the first quarter, things got off to a bang real fast. Green Bay got the opening kickoff, but Eagles recover the fumble on the kickoff return. Big hit by Oren Burks, and we'll talk about Oren Burks here in a little bit. 23rd forced fumble for the Eagles this season, most in the NFL. That's pretty wild, guys. Pretty wild. Great defense. Eagles recovered the football, and on that same first drive, Jahan Dotson, PSU, baby, catches a touchdown for 11 yards. Eagles go up 7-0. And we had some big sacks from Nolan Smith. He had 2. And Jordan Love came into this game. He's not 100% either, but there's a bunch of excuses Packer fans can make right now. Fact is, they lost to a better team in the Philadelphia Eagles. But Nolan Smith made his presence felt often and early. So did many other defensive players. I mean, Zach Bond had another great game. Jake Elliott, perfect all game except for one missed extra point. Now I can get over one missed extra point. That's 1 point. A field goal is 3 points. So if you're going to miss any kicks, Jake, just miss the extra points. All right. Kicks a 31-yard field goal on the Eagles' third drive. Eagles go up 10-0. And Nick Sirianni with the win over the weekend. It's 3-3 in the postseason. So 500 record for Nick. Let's see if we can keep that rolling there with the wins. Darius Slay had an interception on a Love YOLO ball. First turnover for Love in hundreds of snaps. So, and Jordan Love had some picks in this game. He threw two more. He had a total of 3 interceptions in this game. And this is coming from a guy who doesn't throw picks that often. Nakobe Dean unfortunately left the game, and it was determined then. A report from Mike Garafolo said that Nakobe Dean is now out for the playoffs, and most likely he's going to miss part of next year too. He has a messed up knee, torn ligaments in his knee. So now we're going to have Oren Burks take over for him at linebacker. Maybe you're going to see some Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in there. Mini Axe Man come through. That would be fun to see, man. Watching Trotter in the playoffs. That gives me the goosebumps, man, because that just takes me back in the day. Jeremiah Trotter leading this Eagles defense as our middle linebacker. And now you got a chance for Junior to come in and make his presence felt during the Eagles' run. That's really cool to see. Green Bay had a chance to kick a field goal, but you had a missed field goal by their kicker, Brandon McManus. It was his first miss in his playoff career. And he's been around for a while. I believe he was in the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning on Denver. So that's pretty crazy. So all these stats during the season. Love not having any turnovers. McManus not missing any field goal. And then when the playoff games start, just anything can happen, man. It's crazy. We get down to the second quarter. Zach Bond with an interception. Please sign him. You have to sign him now with Nakobe Dean questionable to even be ready for the start of next year. You have to sign Zach Bond. And I guess if you cannot get a deal done, you got to franchise him. I don't know how else to put it. But they should have tried to sign him in the middle of the season. His agent's going to go after big time money, especially if he keeps doing what he's doing here in the playoffs. He's going to get paid. Somebody's going to pay him a lot of money. So, you let him go and then you don't have Dean. I don't know what your linebacking core is going to look like. I'm going to be a little nervous about that. So please pay the man his money. Pay him. Pay Zach Bond, guys. All right, first half stats weren't too pretty. We had 10-0 Eagles lead going into the third quarter. First half, Jalen Hurts, 6 of 13 for 39 yards, 2 rushes for 23 yards. Jordan Love was 9 for 15 for 70 yards, and he had 2 rushes for 10 yards. Saquon Barkley having a good rushing average, 9 rushes for 58 yards, and he had a catch for 1 yard. Josh Jacobs, he had himself a big second half in this game. And in the first half, he only had 10 rushes for 25 yards. And Jaden Reed was the leading receiver at the half with 3 receptions, 33 yards for Green Bay. And Jahan Dotson was our leading receiver. Yes, it was only 1 catch for 11 yards and 1 touchdown. That's a lot of ones there, guys. Start of the third quarter, Eagles got the ball back. And they had the punt. And the offense was sputtering. That drive was terrible. The Boo Birds came out in full force, booing the heck out of the Eagles, and much deserved because their offense was looking like crap. It really wasn't looking good. Eagles' run D was excellent. Now, Josh Jacobs did have himself a game. Okay, he finished with 18 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown. It was a big touchdown for Jacobs there. What led to that 1 yard TD for him was he bust off like a 35-yard run. Eagles players were grabbing at his jersey. His jersey was hanging down to his ankles. Couldn't rip it off, couldn't stop him. He fell at the half-yard line. Then he took the Pepsi plunge into the end zone for a TD. Josh Jacobs had himself a nice game, 18 for 81. He also had 3 catches for 40 yards. So with all the receivers, all the weapons that Green Bay had lost, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, I mean, they were down to their fourth, fifth, and sixth receivers that had to be out on the field. Their best weapon was Josh Jacobs. And I guess, the Eagles kind of knew that too. So they were able to limit Josh Jacobs' damage. He's a great football player. It was a great signing by Green Bay, getting him in here this year. But the Eagles, you know, um, eh, so I lost my train of thought here. So let me just let me just skip over that. I would say the Eagles were able to, pretty much run contain with Josh Jacobs there, and make Jordan Love make mistakes, which was very hard to do because Jordan Love has not made many mistakes this season. McManus finally hits a field goal in the third quarter on Green Bay's seventh drive. 26-yard field goal makes it now a 10-3 Eagles lead. But then you have Dallas Goedert with the play of the game, the 3 stiff arm touchdown, 24-yard touchdown. Goddard wouldn't be denied. Stiff armed the guy to death, barreled through Valentine. And then, of course, Jake Elliott misses the extra point. Eagles up 16-3. Very next drive, Jaden Reed gets hurt. And then you have this is where Josh Jacobs scores with that monster run where he was down at the half-yard line. Jacobs scores. It's now Philadelphia 16-10. Then, guys, we break it open. All right, we had a fake tush push happen and then a YOLO ball and just missed A.J. Brown. He was wide open. Looked like Hurts just overthrew him by a couple yards. But, man, if he would have connected there, that could have been a TD. And then the next play, and this is what I don't like to see, designed runs for Jalen Hurts while he's coming back from a concussion. It's 3rd and 13. You're going to have Jalen run the football? I mean, come on, guys. You want to do the tush push, it's one thing. But you're going to have design run calls for this dude. And a 3rd and 13 play, nothing happened there. Eagles had to settle for a field goal. It was a 19-10 game. So really, you could say Jake Elliott was one of your players of the game because he knocked in 3 field goals himself. Big play for Green Bay. It was their opportunity to get close. It was 4th and 3. Malik Heath, who was maybe their 6th receiver for the Packers, he caught a football. He was out of bounds on the sideline. That would have been the first down. And it was turnover on downs. Eagles get the ball back. And then what happens is you see the Packers get frustrated. They get upset. Saquon Barkley got stuffed on a run. You had 4 or 5 Packers on Barkley, and they're just pushing them back and pushing them and pushing them. And then one guy just throws them to the ground. Well, they had a chance to stop that drive. And all that did was make an unnecessary roughness call. The Eagles get the first down. Barkley then posing for about 10 minutes. He was doing this. All right, for about 10 minutes. I thought he was going to get an unsportsmanlike. He didn't, though. But then we got another field goal out of that play, made it a 22-10 game. That was your final score. Nolan Smith had another sack of the day. Packers were decimated by injury, turnovers, and penalties in this game. Quinyon Mitchell ices Jordan Love and the Packers with an interception. That was their 4th turnover, so 4 turnovers. And then injuries, and then the penalties is a bad combination for a playoff team. Chances are, if all 3 of those things happen in a game, you're probably not going to win. And the Eagles didn't win. And my prediction for the game prior to the game was a 30-17 Eagles win. 13-point margin of victory. Eagles ended up winning 22-10, which is a 12-point margin of victory. So I was kind of close with that score there. So I give myself a pat on the back. Of course, I didn't bet that. I didn't bet any. Yeah, I didn't hit any bet. I can't hit a number for my life, and that's just the way it goes for SalG, your boy. So how are we feeling about the Eagles, man? We're going to either play the Rams or the Vikings after tonight's game. It's going to be decided who we get to face. And like I said, I'd rather take the Vikings. I'd rather deal with them. But Nakobe Dean, no doubt, is a huge loss for the Eagles. Uh, he's out with a torn patellar tendon. Will likely miss the start of the 2025 season. So who knows when he's coming back. And he had himself a great year, 128 tackles, 3 sacks, 4 passes defended, and an interception. And he garnered 2 All-Pro votes. So Oren Burks will now start in his place. Is there any concerns there? I mean, Oren Burks looks like a heavy hitter. You know, he calls that fumble right at the beginning of the game on special teams, but he's not Nakobe Dean. There's a reason why he's second string, right? I'm sure he can do well, but to replicate what Dean did this year, that's going to be very hard, very difficult for the Eagles to replace Nakobe Dean's production. And this is why it's paramount that they sign Zach Bond to an extension. You need this guy here. He was a revelation. I don't know how they found him, but for every Bryce Huff, Howie Roseman signs, he ends up finding a guy like Zach Bond. So we got that going for us, guys. All right, go ahead here. Switch gears a bit. We'll talk about the Phillies here real quick. Some Phillies news, not major news. Phillies haven't avoided arbitration with Jesus Luzardo. They ended up signing him to a 1-year, $6.225 million contract. Avoided arbitration. Luzardo gets himself a $725,000 raise. Not bad at all. And we'll see what he can do. He had a down year last year. He was hurt, nursing some injuries, only pitched, 60-something innings. So let's see if he's 66 and 2/3 innings with 5 ERA, 1.25 whip. Well, those numbers on the surface do not look good. But if he is healthy, he can give you ace level production, no doubt. Bryson Stott also avoided arbitration with the Phillies. They worked out a deal, 1-year, $3.2 million deal. And we'll see. Stott supposedly was hurt last year, his elbow or something like that. So maybe that zapped some of his power. If you can go back to being a 20 home run guy and chip in 30 steals, you're going to have yourselves a great player here at shortstop. Because he's got tremendous defense. I mean, Gold Glove, whether you put him at shortstop, whether he plays second base. Phillies Ranger Suarez gets $8.8 million from Philly, avoiding arbitration. Ranger had a Cy Young start to the season last year. First half, unbelievable. Second half, though, 5.65 ERA in 8 starts. Also was dealing with a back injury, so maybe that had something to do with the numbers. Or perhaps Suarez just came back down to earth, and what you see is what you get. You know, whatever he finished with his average, maybe that's what you're going to look at. But supposedly he's healthy, and he's going to be right in the middle of our rotation. If not, he might be the number 4 guy. Brandon Marsh, Swamp Thing, Captain Caveman, they avoided arbitration by going to a 1-year, $3 million contract with Marsh. Marsh gets a big pay increase with his first year of arbitration eligibility. He's 27 years old. Hit 16 home runs last year, stole 19 bases. But my man cannot hit left-handers. It's evident. So he has to be in a platoon. He's going to end up platooning with Johan Rojas in center field. That's where he's going to be, because now we have Max Kepler, who's going to play left field. Alec Boehm also avoided arbitration, signed a $7.7 million contract with the Phillies. So, there was trade rumors about Alec Boehm, and then the Phillies said, no, we're not trading Alec Boehm. Alec Boehm, which translates to nobody wants Alec Boehm. We think we're the only team who thinks he's good because he's ours, and nobody else wants to pay exorbitant prices for him. So that's it. Looks like we're stuck with Alec Boehm. I guess there could be worse things out there. Edmundo Sosa, utility infielder extraordinaire, signs with the Phillies. New deal, a 1 year, $3 million contract, avoids arbitration. This guy was a Swiss Army knife for us. He chipped in when Trey Turner was down for weeks, but didn't miss a beat with the offense. The guy can play wherever you want, third base, second base, first base, short, and probably outfield too. If you asked him, he'd probably even play catcher. Phillies, guys. I'm ready. Pitchers and catchers soon, brother. Oh, man. My man Matt Shutley in the house. What's going on, brother? He's saying, yeah, how about Jeff Hoffman signing with the Jays? Why was he able to pass the physical with the socialist Canadian doctor and failed when real American doctors examined him? Jeez, Matt. I don't know what it is, man, but you know what? If Jeff Hoffman failed the physical with the Baltimore Orioles and also failed the physical for Atlanta, then maybe it's a blessing in disguise that we no longer have him. You know, I was upset when I found out he first signed with the Jays. 3 years, $33 million. That's some serious coin. And we're going to miss Jeff Hoffman. But, man, if he failed two physicals, I don't know. Maybe Canada has their own set of their own rules when it comes to physicals. But if he's got something going on, man, I'd rather us not sign him to that big deal. So I would like another reliever in this place, man, but I don't know if we can do it. But Shutley, I love you, brother. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move into the 76ers. The 76ers. What is up with these guys? What is wrong with them? I mean, they lost to the Pelicans. The Pelicans, guys. They had 7 wins. We can't beat the Pelicans. We can't beat them. We stink. Joel Embiid now has missed 4 straight games with not his facial injuries, with the sprain, with an ankle sprain or knee sprain. So now we don't have no Embiid, and we know when Embiid plays, he's a difference maker. He's a stud, mask or no mask. But man, I don't know what you're getting. I mean, Paul George had the game of the game of the season for him, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. They lost by 8 points to a game where Philly was favored by 7. New Orleans Pelicans. And then 2 days later, I'm sorry, not 2 days. Yeah, 2 days later, they play the Pelicans on Friday. Then they go ahead and play the Magic. And they lose to the Magic, who are a good team. 104-99. So the Sixers are now 15-22. Trade deadline is less than a month away. It's February 6th. These next few weeks are going to tell us if either the Sixers are going to sink or they're going to swim with the big boys. Are they going to contend or are they going to sell? And just don't sell Jared McCain, whatever you do. I almost want it to be a year where they just say the hell with it. But I think ownership put in so much money into this team, into paying big contracts from Embiid, max money contracts for Paul George, that I don't think they want to pull the plug. But if Embiid's not right, and he's not going to be right all year, if he's always going to have some type of injury that takes him out, and you already said he can't play back-to-back games, I don't know what this team's supposed to do. I don't know how they're going to win. I don't know how they're going to contend. You know? What's going to happen with these guys? They play OKC starting on Tuesday. And we know they're a contender. They are first in their division in the West. They are 32-6. So they're a contender for the NBA Finals trophy. Good luck beating them. Then you have the Knicks, the Pacers, the Bucks, and Denver. There's some tough matchups coming up. So we'll see. This week, man, is very telling and on the future of the Sixers and what they're going to do this season. They stay in it, or call it off. And in other magical news, this was the best Sixers news I've heard. The Chinatown Center City Stadium has been scrapped. That's right. Even though it was approved by officials, local government in the city, they decided that they're going to go back to South Philly and open up a new stadium there. Where's it going to be? Could it be the old Navy Yard? That's a possibility. But the Sixers have teamed up with the Flyers, who are owned by Comcast, and they're going to build a complex for themselves. So the Sixers and Flyers are going to have a new venue in several years, and it's going to be in South Philly. And that's great because you know what? Nobody wanted this damn thing in the middle of Center City. The people that live there didn't want this damn thing. I didn't want it. And people who are commuting back to and from work don't want it either. Because there's going to be so much damn traffic there. Logistically, it would have been a nightmare. So thank goodness they're going to stay in South Philly. Is it going to be in the complex where the current stadiums are? Are they going to go down the road to the Navy Yard? It's not far away. So that'd be cool. So, best news, the Navy Yard. 76ers and Flyers team up. No longer going to Center City. No worries about going to Camden. We'll get that new venue, and you, the taxpayer, will probably be paying for it. That's right, guys. You're going to pay for that stadium. All right. You know what? I'm going to wrap this show up here. I got to talk about this because for me, the best moment of the week, aside from the Eagles winning that playoff game, the Philadelphia Flyers had themselves a game on Saturday. Had a game, guys. I mean, they won 6-0. And you didn't even need to be at the game. If you were at the game, I know some friends that were there. That's awesome, man. That's the best game. It's a game of the year for the Flyers. If you're a casual Flyers fan, if you're not sure if you like hockey, I urge you to watch that game. Watch that replay. Anaheim on Saturday. Cutter Gauthier, welcome back. He got himself a warm Philly welcome. My man was constantly booed. But this guy was traded now. Remember, he was traded for Jamie Drysdale last year because he said he would not play for the Flyers. John LeClair went out to meet him in person, and he refused to talk to John LeClair, Flyers legend, perennial 50-goal scorer John LeClair, the ultimate trash man scorer, could stay in front of the net with the best of them. Nobody could move him because of his big butt. He was just a big dude. Nobody could move that guy. He would always get those trash goals, always be in front of the net for deflections. The man's a legend here in Philadelphia. And Cutter Gauthier wouldn't meet with him, wouldn't meet with Danny Briere, wouldn't meet with Keith Jones. You wouldn't meet with these guys? You were steadfast. I'm not playing for Philadelphia. You're not sending me to the Phantoms. Whatever it was, dude. And then he comes out and gives some cryptic response. Oh, if they only knew, the story. Tell the story, bro. Tell it. What was the deal? Were they all really a bunch of assholes? You didn't meet with them. What was the deal? What didn't you like that they had to say? You don't like Philly? It's too critical, too tough a town. You don't like the fans. They boo if you play bad, if you don't give it your all. Is that so? If you try hard, work your ass off, teams love you, or the fans will love you. Brian Dawkins didn't win a championship with the Eagles, and he's the most beloved Philadelphia Eagle player probably of my generation, maybe of all time. Brian Dawkins never won a championship. Beloved in this town. Cutter Gauthier didn't want to play for the Flyers. And if you watch that game on Saturday, he looked scared. He looked hesitant. He looked like he didn't want to be there. And you know what? Just like Jeff Hoffman, maybe it's a blessing in disguise we don't have him because he turtled up. That was a big moment for him. And he turtled up because he's a coward. Coward. Jamie Drysdale, the guy we got from Anaheim in exchange for Cutter Gauthier, had himself a goal, played his ass off. He rose to the occasion. Awesome game by Drysdale. 1 goal, 1 assist. We're still not sure if he can pan out or not. The Flyers are trying to retrain him to play defense. They want him to be their power play defenseman because he has such great athletic ability. He has a nose for the net. But man, I tell you what, that game, I mean, it was testy. It was a playoff atmosphere. If you heard that crowd screaming and yelling, F Cutter Gauthier, F Cutter, Jamie Drysdale, we want Cutter. These were the chants. You would hear them. You could hear them through, while you're watching on TV. I mean, it was so loud, the announcers had to acknowledge it. The announcers couldn't say the curse words that were said, but they acknowledged the chants that were being, they knew it was a big moment, a big game. And you had Flyers step up. And it seemed to me that these guys were trying to show, hey, man, it's your loss that you don't want to play here. Travis Konechny, 4 assists in the game. He was jawing with Cutter. Cutter didn't want that smoke. Garnet Hathaway gripped him up 1 point in the game. He wouldn't even make eye contact with him. Soft. Soft. No, we don't, you know what? Take that Charmin shit out of here. We don't want it. If that's who you are, dude, and you got some athletic ability, you're probably going to be a decent player. But when it comes time to crunch time and you're back against the wall, I don't want you. I don't want you, dude. Sorry, buddy. Travis Konechny was jawing with him. Garnet Hathaway was. They were laying hits in him. Rasmus Ristolainen gave him some hits. All clean hits. Nobody was dirty. Nobody was dirty with it. All these guys played their ass off. It was one thing I was coming into this game. I was like, if the Flyers lose this game, or get smoked or don't just do anything but dominate, we got a problem because the Ducks aren't good. Just as bad as us. 17-20-5 is their current record. Eagles. The Flyers are 18-20-5. What a game. Morgan Frost, goal and assist. Hathaway with a goal and assist. And he had an awesome celly, too. He scored that goal. He did like a backwards tumble. It was badass. Scott Lawton with an assist. Matvey Mishkov with a goal. Ryan Paling with a goal and an assist. Sanheim with an assist. Owen Tippett with a goal and assist. That's right. 6 goals, 11 assists in this game. And how about Sam Urson? Got himself a shutout there, so that was good to see. Only faced 22 shots, but still, give the man credit. A shutout's a shutout. And we know Sam Urson, it's got this recurring groin injury. And let's hope he's starting to feel 100% because we need him. We need some goaltending here in this city. I can't stress enough. I mean, they're not intentionally tanking, but you want to tank, have shitty goaltending, and you'll tank. No problem. After they were down 6-0 in the game, the coach of the Anaheim Ducks called the timeout, and he was reaming into him, just yelling at him. I think he was even pointing at the scoreboard, saying, look at the score. Probably said it's embarrassing. You guys come out here. And the Flyers are playing right now, and I can't wait to tune into that game. And I want to see if this momentum, if that win can carry. They're at home again. They're at home tonight against the world champion Stanley Cup Florida Panthers, and we can beat them. Or man, just give them a hell of a game. And we go back to back. Then we got to go to Columbus tomorrow, face the Blue Jackets. They got a tough schedule coming up here. Then you got a game Thursday. You got a game Saturday. Phew. All on the road, 3 in a row on the road after tonight's home game. So, but maybe this is the start of something. I don't want to jump the gun. This was one of those wins. You know, you're to see that crowd, to hear them like that. I mean, you would have thought it was Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, it was that loud. And the players fed off that. They took that energy and gave it back to the Ducks. I mean, you could tell they were playing with fire, the way they were hitting. I mean, it was honestly was the game of the year. It was so awesome to watch. I'm so glad I saw it. I missed the first 9 seconds of it, but I watched the rest of the game. So I started watching it 1951, but I don't think I missed much in the first period. But that was a hell of a game, man. Matt saying Kirkring will take his place. I hope so. We're talking about Orion Kirkring of the Phillies. I hope he could take his place and play well. You know, I am. We got Jordan Romano too. He's going to have a role. Let's hope he's healthy. You know, we have a bullpen of I had Alvarado, Romano, Kirkring, and Strom. That's not bad, but we need Alvarado to get back to form. Man, that Flyers game, I'm telling you, that was special, man. That was special. And if you were just a casual, just tuning into that game, you got hooked on hockey. You had to have. Because that game, that type of game shows you why hockey's awesome. Hockey's so much fun. And there's an argument that they say the hockey playoffs are the most exciting playoffs of out of 4 major sports. And I agree with that statement. I think hockey playoffs are incredible. I mean, there's just another level of play. You got to watch it. Got to see it. Sal, do you think Cooper DeJean jerseys will be the #1 seller among white males aged 13 to 45, 30, 34? They're probably going to be the #1 seller from white men ages 35 to 65, because what most white men can't do what Cooper DeJean does. Brian Chalkins, right? Heard that name? Brian Chalkins. I don't even think that name's sticking. Because first off, his name's not Brian, right? And I get Chalkins, Dawkins. Chalk is white. An outline of chalk, you know? But man, the Eagles defense is fun, man. Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Zach Baun, Jalix Hunt, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. Do you think our buddy Nolan Smith will buy a Nolan Smith jersey? He should. It's his name. All right, guys, about to wrap this up. So if you haven't thrown up a like, or if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and do so. And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and click that little bell icon so you get notified of all the latest streams on It's a Wrap Network. Make sure you tune in. Really appreciate it. And just going to take care of a little bit of business here before signing off. Show you what we got coming up here. Here's our lineup for Clear the Ice. Our Flyers post-game show. Matty B's on the bump tonight. I'll have the Columbus Blue Jackets game tomorrow. And then Matty B will have the New York Islanders Thursday game. And, of course, the Wraparound with your man SalG is every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you tune into that. Appreciate the love. Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn. Matty B hosts that show. And Matty B The Final Word with Matty B, Sunday through Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Matty's got a nightly show. Make sure you tune into that. Oh, he's got takes, guys. He's got takes. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll talk to you on the next one. And I always do this the wrong way. Take care, everybody. Talk to you next time. Peace.